Just a few feet, maybe 10 feet to the left of the camera, is a lot of dust. And it was in that dust that a few months ago, in July, I took a fall. I was mountain biking in the area and I made a poor decision. I went down something a little too steep, and at the bottom, I was going too fast and I wiped out pretty bad. I actually took about a month to heal from that. It was really early August that I was back to normal. But it's interesting how things like this can affect us. Like in my mind, I'm just like, I had an accident, I was hurt, I'm better now. But clearly, that's not the case because this is the first time that I've been back here since before the accident. So, I think that really says something about human nature in this situation. And it's really a beautiful view this time of year. The leaves are really something beautiful to look at. But I just find it strange how we can think that we're over something when we're not. And I find that ties in really nicely to creative things because often people will make things for somebody that they love or somebody that they used to love. And it's one of the many ways that you can creatively push yourself to make something. Because if suddenly you're not the only one in the picture, you're a lot more motivated to make. But I think it's important to not let that be your only source of motivation. For me, that was something I struggled with for a long time. Like, I would write sometimes, but the things I wrote were often for people. Now, when I write, I'm not writing for anybody. And the same thing goes with my photography. I'm photographing what I see in the world because I think that it looks good. And I'd really love for that to turn into a career someday. That would be really an amazing opportunity. But for now, this is what we've got. And for now, I'm really unsure what I'm doing here. I came here almost like a robot. I just kind of stumbled my way here after going on a admittedly nearly as dangerous as the one I fell on trail to get here. But this channel is mainly about photography and tech. So let's talk about that. And now at this point, I have absolutely no tie in, which means I have to think of a topic because, as usual, didn't really think of anything good on the way here. I look back at the time that I was shooting on a phone with fond memories. Even though those photos weren't the best quality and I had very little creative freedom with my limitations of no ability to adjust focal length and no ability to adjust aperture, I still enjoyed those moments. And it just goes to show how anything that you make is tied to you on a spiritual level. Even if somebody, steals your picture and posts it to Instagram, you still know that's your picture. And if you feel good about what you make, that will always be your picture, no matter who steals it, no matter how much money they earn from it, no matter how many likes they get. Doesn't really matter. And I think there's actually quite a few beautiful scenes around here to photograph. It's the kind of thing that, you know, back when I still had Instagram, I probably would have seen on Instagram. There's a bridge over there. If I'd been thinking, I would have pointed the camera that way. Really looks better. One over there is kind of gray and concrete. But maybe I can do something with this. There's reflections in the water of the bridges. And I like to think of it almost like something out of a fiction book. You know, it's an alternate world where if you jump into the water, there's a different bridge there. It's the same bridge, but there's things that just don't make sense about it. Like maybe the rails are underneath. Maybe the supports are coming from the sky. It's all very abstract. But I'm a big believer that photography doesn't have to be any said thing. Like, you don't have to take a picture of a subject. And I'm sure a lot of photographers are going to think, well, that's ridiculous. You have to take a picture of something. You know, even landscape photographers, like you have like, I don't know, a fence. And it's kind of those leading lines of the fence guiding you to the scene. And that in itself combined is the subject. But part of taking pictures the way that you want to take pictures is you're not tied to any one thing. There's a man by the name of Giorgio Moroder. I probably butchered the name, but he appears in one of Daft Punk's songs. And I'm just going to go on as if that was actually his name. His name is actually Giovanni Giorgio. But he appears in one of Daft Punk's songs, and he's kind of explaining the process that he went through to make the music and how he got to that point. And he says, when you forget about the concepts of harmony and music, you can do whatever you want. So nobody told me what to do. There was no preconception of what to do. I forgot the rest of it. But that's something that I really love. You know, I like to think of things that way because it really benefits you to be sort of abstract like that. To understand that not everything you make is going to have a specific purpose. Just because you took the picture because you liked it, and not because there was really anything specific that you wanted to focus on, doesn't mean that it's not a good picture. I get so tired of the definitions of a good picture. People say, well, your subject isn't perfectly in frame. Well, who said it has to be in frame? Who said that that little bit of extra background next to the flower isn't purposeful? It doesn't always have to be this way. And while most of the time when I take pictures, I do sort of follow those loose guidelines of having a subject and something to frame the subject, it's not always. Like, I think I've shared in a few videos now this concept of trees and just their empty branches from the fall, no leaves on them, stark contrast to the blue sky. And you know, professional photographer on YouTube, they might tell you, oh, well, that shot would look better at night. But why would it look better at night? Because part of an abstract to me is that because it doesn't really have a set purpose, because it's not trying to be anything, it's not. It's just what it is. There is no better or worse when what it is to begin with is not something that can be objectively measured. There is a very fast boat passing. I hope that doesn't show up on the audio recording. Behind the camera, actually very close to where I crashed, is this empty tree. It's got no leaves. Maybe a few left, but they're rattling. They're soon to fall. It's an ugly thing. It's knobby. The branches don't really follow any set pattern. Some of them are falling off. Some of them are dead. But that's something that I really want to take a picture of. And that's a particular shot where I think somebody might tell you, oh, well, that shot would look better at night. But now is when I'm here, and night is when I'm not. And what makes it less of a picture, because I worked within my means, and I made something that brought meaning to my life. That boat is really loud. Like these waves here, you could take a picture of them. It would really be very abstract. Maybe if you set your shutter speed very high, it would be sharp. You could zoom in and see the little droplets of water on the shore. But that too, it wouldn't really have much purpose. And if you don't let anyone define your purpose, you will enjoy your hobby a lot more. You will take the pictures that you want to take. You'll take the videos that you want to take. And if the world likes that, well, that's good for you. But if it doesn't, so be it, in my opinion. One day I'd like to turn this into a career. This taking pictures. And maybe it doesn't happen. But I'm someone who might be willing to change my photography in some ways to make it into a career, because it's something I'm really passionate about. But in the meantime, all I have is the now, and what I can make now. And I shouldn't make it for the future. I shouldn't make it for anyone specific. Anyways, I'm gonna go around this area and take some pictures. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll even use the tripod that I brought for video, because I think this place would look very interesting if you did a long exposure. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Maybe. It's Thanksgiving.